For our Both Sides Count debate this week, the topic is the water sector provides you with a job for life, and that's a good thing. Now, our two esteemed debaters for this thorny topic are Adam Lovell, Chief Executive for the Water Services Association of Australia, and Lila Thompson, Chief Executive of British Water. Over to them.
The water sector provides a job for life, and that's a good thing? I don't think so. In fact, I completely disagree. We can't pander to all these stereotypes that the industry is subject to. The grey cardigan wearing, the leather patches, the comfy slippers. We're so much more than that. We're public health specialists. We're environmental practitioners. We're circular economy gurus. We're net zero zealots. It's probably the wrong word. But no, we've got to get out there. We've got to leave home. As proverbial teenagers, get out there for a gap year or longer. We've got to actually get out and about and into the economy. That's what the circular economy says. Let's get out there. So let's be truly part of the economy. That means no jobs for life.
I say, what's wrong with a comfy slipper? What's wrong with a grey cardigan? The water sector provides a job for life. I definitely think it does. When I landed in water 17 years ago, I never even knew the sector existed as a place where I could work. I mean, there are so many jobs you can do. I started working in international business development, and then I've moved to focusing on the UK market, technical matters. There's so much you can delve into: micropollutants, data and AI, wastewater treatment plant focus groups, SUDS. There's so many things you can think about, and so many ways in which you can transform people's lives. You can move around from place to place. You can be a lifer in a sector, but also move from job to job. So what's wrong with that? If the sector isn't a place where you can work for life, then what's the downside? You potentially lose highly skilled, highly experienced people who understand how to operate and maintain assets day in and day out.
Let's take it a step further. I once had one of my best board chairs at WSAA, always used to, in fact, she's now moved on. See, there's another reason. There's a perfect example. But she always said the worst thing a monopolist can do is act like a monopolist. And I contend that that works for a job in the water industry as well. We all know what monopolists do, and this is kind of cheeky talking about the water industry, of course. Capture your regulators or do the best you can, overcharge for what you actually do, and be actually impervious to changes. So I think, let's think about that, how that applies for a job. You make best friends with your boss. You get paid more than what you do. You get a little bit lazy, and then you get impervious to innovation. It's another reason to say no. Get out there, move on, but by all means, come back.
I'm going to pick up on two things that Adam said. Did you notice his colleague came back? So she's going to be a lifer. She left, but then she realised that it's worth working in water and staying in water. If you're concerned that lifers don't have the appetite for change, then that's more about culture and the need to ensure that staff across the entire breadth of an organisation are encouraged to have innovation and doing the best every day at their core. So it's nothing to do with the fact that people become apathetic or they become bothered or they take things for granted. It's more about the culture from the top. If the culture from the top says you've got to be creative, you've got to create space for innovation, then that will ring true. You can still get people new into an industry and they can still adopt bad habits because they then start to be a bit like, complacent, not really bothered. It's really about culture. It's really about behaviours that you need to embed within your organisation to see change. And I think the only way that can happen is if you get lifers mixing and working with people who come into the industry who are fresh, and you get that diversity of thought. So,
in conclusion, water, as we know, is the most essential of essential services, but everyone takes us for granted. In a biblical sense, we need to get out there and spread the word. We need to learn new things ourselves. We need to encourage others to come in and teach us new things. And I'm sure for nearly all of us, water never really flushes from your system. Terrible pun, I know, but it's true. So by all means, come back with a fresh set of eyes, but don't treat it as a job for life.
So I think we need to treat it as a job for life. And we need to consider that there's nothing wrong with seeing it as a job for life or as a job that you might want to leave and come back to, as Adam's colleague did. The water sector is fascinating. There's so many things to learn, so many different aspects of working within the water industry. You can work for a water company, a supplier, a manufacturer, an academic institution. There is so much to do. If you constantly bring in new talent without valuing those who are able to stay in the sector, you're going to be throwing out the baby with the bathwater, and you're going to be in deep waters.
Brilliant points from both sides. Now feel free to share your take in the chat by clicking on the triangle at the top right hand of your screen. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Lilla. As usual with this feature, we gave our debaters the topic and we told them which side we wanted them to argue, working on the assumption that intelligent, informed people can usually see both sides of the argument. Hence it's called Both Sides Count. Now with that in mind, this segment wouldn't be complete if we didn't hear what our lovely debaters really thought.
But what do I really think? Well, unfortunately, I'm going to take the easy option of sitting on the fence on this one. Too many times I've seen some from another essential service that happen to push electrons around come in and say, come on, you woke lot, move aside, let's make some money. This is really easy. And then they discover, oh, wow, it was a little bit heavier than what we thought. Oh, geez, it makes a mess when it spills around the place too, doesn't it? And geez, what do you do with these dirty electrons? We never had to deal with those. But when you're in the industry for the long term, when you're a lifer, like me, isn't the irony dripping? Then you're part of a team. Then you're part of a team with purpose. And right around the world, we're all rowing for the same team and mostly in the same direction. So I'm a lifer and I love it.
What's wrong with a dripping tap? If you're thirsty for water, then that drip is going to save your life. Look, I believe we need lifers. We need lifers to mentor, to encourage, to support all the new talent coming in. We need to appreciate the lifers because that's the only way we're going to make a massive change that we need to address the challenges in the sector. So thank you to Adam. Thank you to Piers. We need lifers.